Good afternoon and welcome to the Tales of the TT Live, powered by Podium Vodka, the spirit of motorsport. Do we have a treat for you? Now, we all know that our event that we all know and love, a senior race day today, would have been a massive part of our week. So what can we do and bring a virtual senior race day to you? So we've had the great Roy Moore on today. We have Mr. Bushies. And now, what happens when you bring the biggest DJ on the planet and the biggest motor racing event on the planet together? Who brings that together? Maybe Mr. Carl Cox. Welcome to the studio.
Ta-da!
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. No problem at all. Apparently, because I've been in Australia for quite a while now, I've kind of ended up with an Australian twang. So
Yeah,
if anybody noticed it, please write comments, whatever. You know.
Yeah.
I'm still very much British, but in Australia, yeah. Oh, there, she'd be right. There you go.
Yeah. So remember, guys, this is an interactive experience, so you can take part in the conversation. Feel free to send questions our way, comment, let us know how you're getting on. If there's anything in particular that we speak about that you want to hear more about, let us know, and I'll feed it back to Carl. So, Carl, wow, right. So obviously we know about your music career, but we're here today to talk about your passion for motorsport. So you launched Carl Cox Motorsport back in 2013, and you've made quite an impact on the paddock at the TT. So today we're going to talk about the tales of the TT. We can't be there this week, which is heartbreaking. How does it feel? I know, it's horrible.
Listen, we was all geared up to go this year. I had Greg Lambert racing sidecar racing for us this year. Dave Molyneux with Mark Wilkes, as he was going to get on the sidecar. Dan Brahill, they were going to go. Michael Dunlop was going to be on a Ducati. Whooshoo! Me and Clive Paget. We're like this, with the boys, Connor and Davey Todd. It was just going to be phenomenal. I was going to end up with having a little Carl Cox Motorsport area at Ballacrane. I bought a house there, just down the road from Crosby. So I can literally be there, for at least 2 weeks and enjoy all the practice. And of course, then into the racing and end up down at mile 9 at the Black Dub, and it's just going to end up everywhere. That down at Forge for something to eat, the Little Fish Cafe, and get my motorbikes out and drive around the island and try and cut lap times at like 4 o'clock in the morning and it's just all falling off a cliff basically.
Bloody Rona, hey, she come knocking at the door. She wasn't welcome. So, Carl, tell us you've had some incredible memories at the TT over the last few years, and we're going to get on to Michael Dunlop in a few minutes. What an incredible rider he is. But tell us some of your highlights over the years so far. So you've experienced some successes, some challenges.
Yeah, I mean, with the TT and also the Manx as well, because I was there last year too, which was incredible. I've always seen it on the TV, and I was always interested in the sidecars as well because of the nature of how they go around the track. I mean, they're the most unstable, fast things we've ever seen with 2 people on them. But I always enjoyed watching the racing and when they get to overtake, they overtake. One of my moments was where I was at the Craig the Bar watching the sidecars coming towards the pub, and for the first time, and I saw 2 sidecars coming down towards the pub, and I'm thinking to myself, somebody is going to have to yield to get round the corner to go down to Hilbury, and they didn't. And they both went round together, and they both drag raced down the. I'm just like, oh my God. Did that really happen? Because if you think about it, there's 4 people on those things going full chat into the corner. And the thing is, if you go if you go wide to cut in, you need that space to cut in. But if you cut someone off, there's going to be a crash. So they probably looked at each other and just think, okay, you stay there, I'll stay here, we'll get round. So that was my first kind of like, oh my God moments. My heart was going like this. And then we got asked to go to the secret garden. So the secret garden was like, wow, where's the secret garden? The secret garden was basically where Ago's Leap is coming down. So I've never been down there before, but I went down in a hire car, down by the school, and away you go. I go sleep. So in the car, you're only doing like 50 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour, and you kind of go, "Ooh, okay." When I got to the secret garden, it says literally gardening. You can get your kind of phone out as much as you dare, to get the bikes going past. And I heard this bike coming down, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're coming down!" And I stuck my hand out on the phone, and this bike went yonk past. I was like, "Jesus Christ!" And my friend of mine said, "That's just the marshal." Oh, you're kidding me, really? It's like, oh yeah. I mean, the marshals get up on it pretty well too, as you know. But my God, I thought that was. I've never been. I mean, I've been on motorbikes nearly all my life, and I ride hard and fast when I can, in the right conditions. Of course, I do track days, and so when you're on the bike, you don't really understand the speed that you're going at actually, because you're just in it, you're doing your thing and enjoying yourself. But when you stand there and they're going past you at 170 miles an hour, it's a blip. It's a finger of an eye, and you feel the wind go past you and everything. It's quite shocking actually. And of course they can go faster, but to see that happen. And so Agos leap, literally, I think they go down and they actually hit the leap, and they hit the back brake a little bit to straighten themselves up, and they go down. That's 165 miles an hour, maybe more. And I can't wheelie motorcycles. I get it up about this far, and I think that I've got it up this far, down there, and then rushing all the way down the Quarter Bridge, which is just incredible. And then I got to go down to Quarter Bridge, and just as we go around the roundabout opposite there's a house and like a broken down shed, and we were allowed to get on the shed and wave the bikes on. And it was the first time I had a sidecar team there racing for us, which was Robbie Shorter and Colin Buckley. And for the first 2 years I had my sidecar team there, we came at 11th place both times. So we were just on there, all my team with the Cole Cox Motorsport t-shirts and stuff, and egging them on, going through, and everyone like, "Oh, Coxie," or "Hey, go on, boys." Just all of these things. And obviously as we go through, got to know the marshals, got to know the people, feel the island, and everywhere that I went round, people were just embracing the fact that I've taken my time out, to be anywhere in the world, to be right where I feel that I understand and respect everything of the whole concept of road racing at its highest level, and amongst also people who have no clue who I am. It really doesn't matter. But what does matter is that we're there because we love motorcycle racing, we love motorbikes, like hip-hop of it all, and we're all as one. And I just wanted to get involved. I mean, it was my time to be able to support people that I love. So in time, I mean, when I got to be able to support Michael Dunlop, for the first 2 or 3 years, I always saw him in the paddock, but we all just passed each other, kind of give him like a little glance. Michael would be like, because Michael's like he put his head down and he's walking through everywhere. He doesn't take boot or a goose. And then, but when he saw me, he was like, I'm like, I'm gonna go out of him. Which was fantastic, But when we got to really know each other, it wasn't like a guy sponsoring a road racer and a road racer just being sponsored by a guy. We're like two mates. I mean, I know he's a bit younger than I am, for sure, but he makes me giggle and laugh. I make him giggle and laugh. And what's really nice about it is I don't want anything from him apart from that he does well. That I want to see him to succeed in his passion for the reason why he does what he does. And when I mean this was a moment when I got literally, I turned up on a Monday and the plane came in late, and the race was delayed by about maybe 45 minutes. So because it was delayed, I was able to get to see him before he went out, and it was the first time I actually got to greet him before he went racing. So basically, I said, I was waiting for him to come out, because he takes his time to come out. And then he eventually comes out. He sees me. He goes, "All right, boss." I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." I said, "Look, Michael, 2 things I want you to do." I said, have fun, and give it as much shit as possible. He went, no problem, boss. I'll see you later. And he won the race. And, you know, it's like, how easy is this? I could just rock up. Here he goes and wins the race. And I go in a circle, and now I'm in the press, you know. It was like, of course, it hasn't been as easy as that since then. But it was just one of those things, one of those moments which happened. And you can see the smiles. It's all natural. The idea of me being involved for things and moments like that. And I really have enjoyed the idea of being someone that just went to being someone that can help out and to support their dreams and their aspirations.
Incredible. And this pick he did a hat trick, didn't he, in 2018?
It was
insane, wasn't it? And I was there all the way through. They said, Carl, you know, got to come back again. I'm like, what? Yeah, Carl, come on, let's come back again. I'm like, this is getting to be a bit of a job. What's going on here? You know, but he did so well. You know, I mean, Michael really works really hard at everything, and if he gets what he gets, he deserves it. He's a man that truly believes in what he's doing for his sake, for his own self's sake, his family's sake. He just loves road racing. It's in it, like he said, it's in his blood. And I actually understand it because music's in my blood. You know, forevermore, I will do this until, you know, my arms fall off. You know, I can't go like that anymore. At the end of the day, I think we have a mutual respect for that. But also, I love old Ford cars, and he has an RS2000 which he races and which he crashed to pieces last year. But I also have quite a few of them as well. And so he said, "Oh, Carl, you got Ford Escorts." And then when we started talking about Ford Escorts, it was another story. And then eventually, after he'd been racing and everything, he wanted a holiday in Ibiza. So I took him to one of my parties. And he just stood there with a beer. I was just like, Jesus. There's like 10,000 people at Privilege in one of the biggest clubs in the world, and I was absolutely rocking it. And that's all he did. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We've had some great comments here, Carl, so I'm just going to share a couple of them with you, if that's okay. So we've got
no problem at all.
Daniel Wallace says, respect, Carl, love your superbike collection. We're going to get onto that in a second. Give Keith Flint a mention, and if you could, rest in peace, Firestarter. Fantastic show. Yeah, thank you very much. He used to be we'd always see him running around the paddock, wouldn't we, Keith Flint? He was very passionate as well about the sport.
Yeah, you know, me and Keith go back a long way. In fact, when he was just dancing for the Prodigy, he would always, once the Prodigy had finished, he'd always hang around for one of our sets, and he would come up, dance, and have a really good time. And all the time, we were, up and down the length and breadth of the country, of the UK, and we'd always bump into them, and we just became really good friends. And then I knew that he was into motorbikes. He used to do quite a lot of track days, and I didn't know that for a while because when we're working, we never really get to talk about other things outside of the music industry. But then when I heard that he was riding bikes, and I'm like, oh my God, I ride bikes too. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. I mean, I know I've got a few pounds, man, but I can get still behind the bike and still get it round, So he, we had an avid interest in that, and he was coming to the TT, but I was watching the TT, so I should watch him at the TT, and then he obviously sponsored Team Traction Control and did really well, eventually with that. But it was costing him quite a lot of money, so eventually he couldn't continue anymore. And he would just watch it from afar. I always get invited. I used to see him at the BSB rounds as well, and I used to go around the BSB rounds and see Keith, and it was always a pleasure to see him outside of the music industry. So of course, when people saw us both, it was a pleasure for a lot of people who are into me and into Prodigy and see me and Keith. So we spent half the day just taking bloody pictures, all the racing. But but then when he died, I was just like, oh my God, it's we have really. It's just you just cannot comprehend it, and it was very sad when I found out. I was in Australia at the time when it happened, and he was actually performing 2 weeks in Australia, and he was absolutely fine. He was going to be running a marathon He was working, he was out there, you know, it wasn't about money. And I still don't know what the underlines of the reason why he took his own life, but it was obviously something that was basically burning up inside him over many years. And he said if it was his time to go, he'd be the one that decides it. So that's what happened. So when I played the party not last year, the year before, was it last year? The year before, I did the party there, and the last 20 minutes or whatever, I just played Prodigy records, and to hear his voice again in the music, like, oh my God, I keep wanting to turn around and say, all right, Keith, and he's not there. So that year I was playing quite a few events, and the last kind of like 20 minutes or so just drop all the Prodigy records, and then people just like, as if they're basically playing in concert on an ode to Keith. So he sits around around us all, is in his spirit somewhere. And music with the Prodigy will always live on.
Okay, a couple more comments, Carl, before we move on to that collection of yours. Definitely got to get onto that. So Jim Flux says, glad they got to some of the races last year. The weather wasn't great, but it was great to see you there. And Cyril Francis says, Carl, we would like to invite you to our show Lockdown with Petronas Yamaha Sepang Racing Team of MotoGP. How do we get in touch with you, mate? Cyril, head of marketing and partnership, doing a bit of business on there. I like it, Cyril. Wow. And then Carl, lots of fans here for MD and for Michael Dunlop. He's got such a huge following, hasn't he? He's not only an incredible rider, but he's the people's rider as well, isn't he? Obviously, the family goes way back, and they've supported them for decades.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird for me because I come into it quite late, since Joey and Robert, and these riders are for the family of the Dunlops is just incredible, and obviously the death of his brother is incredible as well. And I watched the movie, read the book, about the Dunlops, and it's quite tearful, and with the adulation that they get, the tragedies that they've been through as well, and they do it all for the love of just road racing. It's just unbelievable, and it really brings home to you the family ethos of how they kept together, how they connect, how they keep going through everything. And Michael was just someone that you just wanted to kind of get hold of. It's like, you're not racing anymore, but you just can't stop him. And at the end of the day, he's his own man. He'll do what he needs to do. But the thing is, if he cannot talk to you when you would like to talk to him, it's because he's focused so hard on what he needs to do next. And people really have to understand that they are putting their lives on the line. Every single one of them are putting their lives on the line for us to be entertained in the way that they're putting on the show. So we have to respect the boundaries of all of that, I think Michael, once he's done what he's done, he's one of the most funniest people you've ever met. He's just so down to earth. It's just incredible. Like a lot of the riders are, actually. But when they're on race day and when they're racing or whatever, you just don't talk to them. Don't even bother them, because they're in the zone in their own inimitable way, and they know they've got a job to do. Like Peter Hickman, he's so relaxed and he's so focused, but underneath it all, he knows as soon as he gets to go ahead, gets a tap on the shoulder, he's got a job to do. And of course, he's done it really, really well. It's like like Dean Harrison, they're all just phenomenal riders, people within themselves. And but I've had a bit of a emotional attachment with Michael, just basically because of how we met and how organic it's been. Nothing forced in any way, shape, or form between ourselves. And with the Dunlop family, I've been embraced with them because of how I've kind of looked after Michael in his way, and how I perceive the family as the respect of what they stand for road racers. It's just from the highest level. So Michael really wants to come back really strong. Next year with Ducati. I think what's going to really be amazing is if he really gets onto the podium, he really becomes on the first step with the Ducati. It'll just be an amazing thing to see, and he really wants to do that. But meanwhile, I think that if he was able to And God rest his soul with him. And with the BSB, I think he's going to go in with his BMW, with his race team. I'm going to help him a little bit with that. And you'll see Michael out there racing, hopefully, on the TV, which would be great, because you can't go to the track and hang out and take them on because of social distancing. It was like, I think we're going to see some, not virtual racing, some humans riding motorcycles. Yay! I just cannot wait to see that happen. And Michael's coming in, and I actually have two other riders, Shane Richardson from New Zealand and Damo Reese from the Reese family from New Zealand as well. The thing is with the New Zealand boys, they came over to race at the BSB, and then the COVID-19 happened, and they went into lockdown, so they couldn't even go home. So they've had to stay in the UK all the way through it until they've got the go-ahead that they can actually go and race another, I think, 6 to 8 rounds up until October for the BSB. So my boys are in there. So I've got like three riders in there, and my old mate Pete Hickman's in there as well. So it's going to be good. I'm going to be glued.
Yeah, I can't wait. Bring it on.
All of them, good racing. I think we're going to see some really good battles, because can you imagine the frustration of these boys of being like in their garage polishing the wheels, polishing the wheels again, cleaning the chain, polishing the wheels
on the TT game.
You know what I mean? And they started out off again, they're going to go out and just go pow, just going to let it have it. So I think we're going to see some real strong racing in the BSB, and it's going to be, well, yeah, come on. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But but Michael, I mean, Michael, he's a road racer. When it comes to track, he has a go. He has a good dip, but I think he just wants to keep his hand in. He's been eating really well. He's been basically looking after himself, keeping fit. I think it's probably been the fittest you're ever going to see him. I think because of lockdown, he's been quite focused. So, well, I hope he has anyway.
Fingers crossed.
So who knows?
Brilliant. Carl, I want to come back to you then. So let's talk about where your passion started for speed, for motorsport. Now, I watched a little bit of you've got a video on your Facebook page of your garage and your collection of your motorbikes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Tell me about it, because I wasn't looking to collect them away. When I moved, well, here's the thing. Back in where I live I used to live in Carshalton, Surrey, and all my school friends back in the day when we were like 14, 15 years old, we was always on push bikes, in the dirt, do speedway, pushing in the mud, come back home fully mud, the bike's trashed, clean the bike and go back out again. And then as soon as we was able to get a 50cc engine on a bike frame of any kind, pushes went out the window and whoosh, we're pulling the throttle back. And the bike of choice at that time was a Yamaha FS1E. Pedals and everything on it, but you could ride these things on a learner's license at the time. So we 70 years old. Then you got your fizzy, shores was really low. The bike could only do maybe 56 mile an hour tops, but if you bore them out a little bit, put an expansion pipe on, put drops on. 58, 59, 60, and if he's kept it up on a 60 mile an hour, the poor little piston going. They used to heat sink and heat and then seize up, heat seize, and then just got another piston, found another cylinder head or another bore, whatever, and he carried on. But anyway, this was us at the time, and at least 10 of us used to have them. Now, I never really had a lot of money at that time, and my bike was a bit of a bitzer, as we call them. So my bike was purple tank, and at the side caps where the oil goes and everything for the two-stroke, they were in Kenny Roberts yellow. So it was like two bikes as one. I don't know how it come about that I had these. But it was unique, my bike, for sure. I used to run that thing around on ball tires and all sorts of things. But it was my first bike, and I used to take it up the woods and stuff, and there 2 people on it and 3 people on it, and get into a bit of mischief with the bloody thing. And then I wanted to go a bit quicker, so I bought myself a DT 175 at the time, so it's trials bike, get on that one room. And I went to the shop and actually bought that bike, you know, with my paper round money, and I used to do milk round at the time, and I was able to put a deposit down and then pay off the difference on that on a high purchase. So yeah, DT 175. I felt like, you know, the Fonz on it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you're up on it, and there's knobbly tires and everything, and it used to really go like hell. It's like whoosh. I absolutely loved that bike, you know, and this was great for me. But then afterwards, it was the halo bike for me, which was the Yamaha LC 250 LC RD 250 LC, and a friend of mine called Paul Burgess actually used to get me on the back of his one and do wheelies on it off the lights. So I'll be sitting on the bank, bing, 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 and he go, what? I'll be sitting there going, I can't believe it. And you have this power band that comes in around about 6 to 8 grand, and the bike just go whoosh. So, you know, from a 50cc to this bike was just unbelievable. And then, you know, if you pass your test, you can get the 350. RD 350, which was just amazing. So any of the like triple at the time, you know, like the KH 350 or the 500 Quackers or the Suzuki Aircord GT 350s or 400s, and I think 550 at the time. I used to ride these bikes as well. So my DNA for riding motorcycles was in when I was very young. I stopped riding around about 80, I think 84, 85. And I was concentrating on being a DJ. I was actually working as a scaffolder at the time. I was always in the building industry, whether I was painting, decorating, whether I was plasterer's mate, wherever I could earn money in basically being a labourer or just basically getting out there and earning money that I could basically, you know, carry on, you know, riding my motorbikes but also get records and building up my mobile disco at the time. Something had to break, so I had to stop riding motorcycles, concentrate on my DJing, and also when I was at the time scaffolding. And then eventually I got to a crossroads where my DJing was getting, you know, a lot of attention, and I needed to basically decide what I was going to do next for my future. So I decided that I would kind of follow my hand of being a DJ. So my first 10 years actually of being a DJ, I was doing a lot of weddings and school birthday parties, school discos and birthday parties and things like that to keep my hand in, and that's how I kind of started. But then the thing is, I was always in cars then, so I started drag street race cars and in drag race cars at Centerport Raceway, and my car of choice at the time was a 3-litre Mark 1 Capri, which I have still today.
I do. Wow.
Drag race form. Yeah, and I think you might have some pictures of that somewhere.
Yeah, we do. We actually have a video as well.
And everyone asks me, goes, how'd you get in it? Because it's quite small. It's got a roll cage and everything. There's a certain way that you shimmy yourself in. You get it. And you got the helmet on, and you put the full harness on and everything. And you sit there, and you let the trans brake go, and the fastest I've been in that Capri in a quarter mile is 6.4 seconds at 206 miles an hour. And
wow.
All the parachutes to stop you in the said distance. So, and I think you might have a video here of
got the 360, I think it is.
Inboard, I think you got an inboard camera work here. And there I am, yeah. In fact, this is my new car, I think it's my new car.
It's the Coxie Eleanor Mustang. That's
right. Yeah, that's my new car. So this is the
new one.
Yeah, this car actually, the fastest I've been in this car. There we go. Oh, look at the G-force. That's 3.2 G's going out, hitting the parachute. I hit that, boom, parachutes come out, and it's 3.2 G's coming back. And that run, I think, was a 6.1 second run at 234 mile an hour, quarter mile. So I think I'm going to have the honor of being the fastest DJ in the world.
Yeah, woo!
Looking to go faster actually in this car. But yeah, so this is the 350 of that. And well, I'm glad you found that. That's pretty cool. It's yeah, there we go. You can see it from the frontage now. So we're ready to go. I kind of pull up to the lights and I let the trans brake go, and so when I go to the lights to the end of where you see the lights on the right hand side, boom, that's a second. That's one second. The bullet out of a gun. So I go past, like pull the chutes, and then the chutes come out, and that's stowing me down in another I think quarter mile to slow me down. So and then I get to the end and go right to pull in, and I shut everything off. At the top here, on the right hand side at the top, is where all the water pump and the fuel pump and all that. You shut everything down, so I'm just rolling out to stop. So that's a really good example of what I do. It's not for everyone. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's very, very, very quick. The problem is with drag racing, it is over in seconds. But also, if you get it wrong, it could be over in seconds as well. So lots of precautions, safety precautions are taken before I actually do what I do there. And I've been doing that now, drag racing in Australia for at least 7 years by having street cars that could do 10-second passes to now my Capri, which could do 6-second passes, to this car that can actually do 5-second passes at 260 miles an hour. So I'm just turning the wick up a little bit more on the turbos to get, as I'm going along, to get a little bit quicker. So, it's nice to sponsor everyone so they can all have their fabulous time. I'm going to have a little bit of fun myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the drag racing. Actually, I do drag racing. I do hill climb racing in New Zealand at a place called Ledford Festival, which is great. And also do a little bit of circuit racing with old school muscle cars. So I do like as well. I do like going around corners and braking. I mean, drag racing is just straight line. So I wouldn't say just straight line. I mean, there's a lot that still goes on. But when you go in circuit and up and down in the elevations and stuff like that, I really enjoy that as well. What's
your favorite fix out of all of that then? Your favorite speed fix?
I think my favorite speed fix is definitely drag racing because it's I've always been into it, from day one, especially Centre Pod Raceway in the UK and watching a lot of the top fuel cars and top fuel bikes and anything that goes down the strip and the racing. I love it. Even like if you had a little 850 Mini, it doesn't matter. It takes them a little longer to get there, but they're having fun, and that's just great, and it's safe. So you could do all this stuff on the road, but sometimes it doesn't always go well. So I wouldn't recommend that too much. But you can in a controlled environment. It's the best place where your vehicle can be to do what you do. So this
here we go.
This is the outside view of the car doing its runs. And this is called a Pro Mod. So it's in the shape of an Eleanor 67 fastback Mustang. Whee! And away I go. And then at the end, you'll see the parachutes. There's one thing you have to do, because if they don't come out, I'm going for a ride. 234 mile an hour. Wow. And that's the top fuel, as you see it going past at the top end. And these are I can't see any other DJ doing that actually.
I'm just going to share some more comments with you, Carl, if that's all right. So we've got Rob Maxwell. Does the Capri still have a tow bar for the disco trailer, Carl?
I lost the trailer quite a few years ago. Yeah. On and the kit was falling off for some reason.
And then we've got Richard Druitt. Ramsey Sprint had the throttle stick open on it on the Triumph, still managed 89.2 at the 8th mile.
Ooh, there you go. That's the thing about it, you just go for it, but nobody wants a sticky throttle at all. That's a complete no. So yeah, make sure that if you're on a bike or a car, I mean, I have two springs that basically brings my throttle back. So if one spring doesn't do it, the other one will. And nobody wants a sticky throttle. It has happened a few times on a few cars, and yeah, it's not funny actually, because you're like, yippee, I've got to the end, and you're like, oh, and you're still going. You're like, oh Jesus. You either got to jump off the bike or just something has to happen there. But that's pretty good. 89 mile an hour, 8 miles, still pretty good. Yeah. Actually enjoy that.
Philip Nelms, Fireblade Phil Nelms, is saying, Carl, this is so cool. Do you drag a bike?
Now, that's a really good question. I would like to do it because I do have a couple of really awesome bikes to do that with, and one of them is the H2 Kawasaki, the new one. I like to drag that if I could. I've had a couple of Hayabusas, which is fantastic, and I still have a ZX14, which is, you know, if you get it right, you can get a 9-second pass over 100 mile an hour on those things. Now, my biggest problem with dragging on a bike is that your contact patch on a motorcycle in your tire is this big. Now, in my cars, they're like, one tire is that it's like this big, you know, and it's like this big, and I'm just like, you know how I do my wheelies, you know what I mean, like this, you know, as soon as you go off you've got to slip the clutches, you get off the line, and say that the bloody bike doesn't do that as it's going down the line. I know is the answer.
Brilliant. Also, I got a question here. I guess you almost answered it earlier. Tom Sani says, Carl, when are you going into the BSB?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we get out of this pandemic, you know, as soon as I get home. I mean, the thing is, by the time I do get to come back to the UK, it will be probably after Christmas, because at the moment they're still not allowing any flights to leave or to turn up here in Australia. And by the time I get to go back to the UK, a lot of the racing would have been done, especially in October. It'd be too cold to race, and there'll be a lot of racing here in New Zealand and Australia at that time, because I also am very much involved in the Phillip Island Classic races here, which I had Davo Johnson race for me. Unfortunately, it didn't go that well this year with him, but you know, he's a trooper. He hangs in there, and he just said, "Well, wait till next year, Carl. We'll go right." Michael Neves from MCN magazine, and his brother Ben Neves have ridden for me. We have another guy, and these are all on classic motorcycles, so XR69, Katanas, the GSXR 750, 711 we call them, a 1000cc engine, 750 frame, RC30. Racing RC30 that we have now to race, and also a Bimotor, which we have a guy called Dean Outridge races with, and he also races a CR750, which is a CR1000. So the team is actually quite extensive when we get to race here in Phillip Island over the summer. So we get a lot of racers from the UK come over to race, not only in Phillip Island, but also in New Zealand. We have a thing called the Cemetery Circuit, and a guy called Flea, and name's Alan, and he basically has he offers, you know, a few racers to come over to enjoy the summer in New Zealand, but also to race free tracks. One of them being Taupo Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park, and also Mansfield racetrack, and then in Wanganui, the actual road circuit itself, which I actually did a parade lap actually around there 2 years ago on my RCV 213 with no helmet, and yeah, they said, go away and do a parade lap, Coxie, and I'm like, where's my helmet? He said, yeah, we put that on, no one can see you. I said, yeah, well, if I come off on this very expensive motorcycle. He said, you won't be going fast enough to worry. You got to love people, right? So me and a whole bunch of guys, you know, we're just riding around doing a parade lap with no helmet. It was like, go figure. So there's a picture of me with that happening, but it was brilliant, you know. So wherever I end up, I'm always trying to find an element of bike racing or car racing or drag racing somewhere. I just love being involved in it. Yes, I'm involved in the music and I love it, and people know how much I have this passion and the spirit for it all. Underneath it, though, I've always been the consummate petrol head. I just love it. I mean, I have one racing mini thing called Mighty Mini Racing that I'm basically looking to. Here's my this is my Capri actually, and I'm trying to think where that is. That is at Calder Park, I think it is. No, that's Sydney Dragway, and hopefully this is one of my 6-second passes in this car. So when you see this car, actually, it's a Capri on the outside, but on the inside it's just a space frame with a great engine. Well, the engine's actually at over 2,000 horsepower plus, with a single turbo 106 mil turbo, and you'll see the gear stick change on its overhead. So you're doing a burnout at the moment to get the heat in the tyre. You'll see smoke coming into the car. I'm going to smoke. And I'm like, okay, open the window. So we're opening the windows, we're going back. now to basically go back on the lines I've just done a burnout on the tires to give me maximum grip. And then once we got that, and then everyone leaves me on my own, apart from Rod that's at the front that's backing me up. He checks to make sure that everything's working, that all my switches are on and ready to go. And then so you can see him holding me up for a minute. I'll check the switches. Tick, tick, tick. Yep, that's all good. He's looking at me. You okay? You ready to do his fist bump? Maybe the last fist bump that I'm going to do with him. So now the doors are closed. Everything. There's no smoke in the car. He's lining me up so the car gets back onto the rubber I just laid, and he's going to get me to where the beams are for the lights. So we basically get to stage up to the Christmas tree lights. And once I got there, then it's all down to me to hit the tarmac. So, you know, he's looking at me. You're all good? Yeah, all right. He's gone, and now it's all down to me. I creep forward. I switch the Christmas tree lights on, and once I've gone into there, I'll build the car up and boost. Once I've got a boost, I pump in. And once I've got it under let it rip. Black, thick, full of chest. You can feel the car just chilling a little bit. I'm trying to pull up over 200 miles an hour down the end, and you can see it's dark too. You know, it's the brightest of places, but I know where I'm kind of going down the end there, and that's a fast pass. I mean, it's and that's in another car of mine, which is the Ford Capri. I've always wanted to keep the ethos of me drag racing of when I started, so I kind of kept the ethos of racing this car. While all the while that I'm in Australia, I will be bringing these cars over to the UK to race at some point, especially the pro-mods. Because we actually do have a championship rounds in Europe, and I think 2 of those rounds are at Santa Barbara Raceway. So it'd be like me coming back to the motherland or where I drag race. So that's something that I really, really, really want to do back in the future.
Wicked. So if I can ask you to look back over the years since you started at Carl Cox Motorsport since 2013, what have been the big highlights for you? So you've had lots of victories, championship, like race victories, championship victories. What has been the true highlights?
I think, sidecar wise, I think all the guys and all girls that I've had race with me in sidecars have just been phenomenal. You know, win or lose, you know, it's always been fun. It's always been great. I think probably the biggest kind of adulation that I think I've had with the racing has to be Trish Reeves and Tim Reeves. You know, racing in the was it the British Superbike series, and it was 3 years ago where they basically won every single race, and they were just like way out in front for the championship, and to see that was just phenomenal. The work between the boys and the team as a whole, Tim Reeves Racing and Carl Cox Motorsport, it was a great synergy, and then we took that ideal to the TT, and they basically got themselves on the 3rd step for the first time, so which is fantastic, and they were obviously moving up. I mean, when I first got the boys with our first sidecar, Colin Buckley and Robbie Shorter, and out of the 40 or 50 sidecars, you know, we came 11th place for 2 years, which was amazing. We just needed to go faster. We needed a different bike and that kind of thing to basically keep up with the forerunners at that time. But I was really proud of the achievements on those races. And then when it came down to bike racing, you know, Jay Lawrence has been who rode for me as well in the Manx 2 years ago was phenomenal, working with Team Classic Suzuki. That was just amazing to see how well he really did, and he did really well racing a Suzuki GSXR also for Bennett's. So it was really great to see how great he did. I think he came 21st place out of like 60 bikes or something. It was amazing how well he did. And of course, I think, you know, apart from, you know, Connor Cummins doing really well, supporting him, and David Todd and supporting Clive Paget Racing, it's been great between us all. Good camaraderie all around. And Michael, I mean, you know, his wins were just phenomenal. You know, at the end of the day, you know, he really wants to to get himself onto the top step. You know, he's not happy with second or third or second. I mean, he's happy enough, but you know, he works really, really hard to get to the top. And when I've seen him do that and to be a part of that at that time in the point of history, it was just amazing. And in fact, myself, I actually was quite proud because with the Capri, I actually won my first drag race, and it was about 4 years ago. There's a Capri in the early days, and it's a phenomenal looking thing. And I actually cried when I won my first race in the Capri because it's something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time, and I never ever thought that I would actually end up at the top step winning amongst all the professionals that were around at the time racing. You know, these things you just don't fall into. You have to keep working, keep racing, keep working, more seat time, you know, more development, more change, more setup. You just keep going, and then eventually you find yourself on the top step based on how great the team's been, how amazing that people around you support, you know, my quest to succeed. And I basically, when I sat down for one moment and see what I'd done, and unfortunately my mum she's not here anymore. She died about 3 years ago. It felt like my mum was in the car egging me on to win. And it was quite emotional to have her in the car in the sense of spirit. Because normally she'll always say, "Take care, don't go that fast." And, not taking care at all. And I'm going to go as fast as I can, you know. But because of it, I won, and I have the trophy and everything for it. And I haven't won anything since.
Oh, no. You will. Well, I've got a question here for you about the Capri, actually. How many, from Graham Shaw, how many G's are pulled off the line in the Capri, Carl? Think I'd grind my teeth into powder.
Yeah, you know, you're right. It's you don't realise how much the forces are. I mean, the more forces on the other car, based on it's twice the power. The Pro Mod is 4,000 horsepower plus it's a big block, twin turbo. It's absolute nuts. So roughly about 3.2 to 3.4 Gs in the Pro Mod and 2.8 to 3 Gs in the Capri. It's still, as soon as you hit that button, the 60-foot time is a second. It's 1.1 second. It's like that. It's like a bullet out of a gun, and that is like this. And you can't go anywhere. You're pinned. And then when you pull the chutes, you're pinned. Go back. It's like it's quite a force to be reckoned with. There's nothing on the planet that feels like that unless you're going to go upwards in a rocket. I'm sure that you're doing that.
Love it. And you've got a great TT question here. What's your favourite spot on the TT course to spectate from?
Yeah, that's a hard one, really, because I mean, I do like being at the Crack the Bar. I do like it because if you're able to get to the pub or able to get to the stands, you can see the bikes coming towards you, and then you can see them going down to Hilbury. So you get to hear them coming. It's like, and they go past you, and then you can hear this, and then they turn right, and you get the drag race going down that way. I think that's pretty cool. I do like being up mile 9 at the Black Dub. I think that's really cool because you see the bikes. There's quite a little chicane going through there, so you can see the bikes flip flopping and getting on the gas. That's pretty cool. The K tree is actually not a bad place to be either. It's really fast going through there. But yeah, there's some amazing spots. But they're some of my favourite places to be.
We did have a question from the Black Dog guys actually for you. I'm just trying to locate it. It popped up on here. There he is. We've got Carl Cox Motorsport, Dirty Burger was the comment. Now what's going in it? There's a bit of juicy gossip there, I think. You said you're looking well.
Thank you, Black Dub guys. You're bloody awesome. I love the Dirty Burgers. They're just you grab hold of them and the egg and the sauce and everything. You're just like you got your shirt on. You're like, oh, just Jesus. And you're starving and everything. You just want to get it in there. Very very famous Dirty Burgers, but you got to watch where you where it ends up.
Need an apron. So I've got a couple of personal questions for you. That's all right. So sound wise, obviously you love your music. very well known. You love your motorsport, very well known. What is your favorite sound? So what really is your favorite thing that gets you going? Is it music related? Is it engine related?
Oh my God! How can you put this one on me? Because
I
I hear a bass line, I'm like, oh,
I know.
This face, I'm just like, yeah, And then when I hear a sound of a V8 or on a bike on full track, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's a hard one. I have to say it's between bass lines and sounds of V8 or cars or bikes that have the high rev, which I enjoy that hearing things on full chat.
Good, wicked. So what's next for Carl Cox Motorsport? Because obviously we're at a halt at the minute. What's next for the team?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment we're just going to try and get past this year with the boys racing at BSB. Hopefully, if we get the World Series happening for sidecars, so I've got a sidecar team there. He's Ennisfield. He's racing for Carl Cox Motorsport on the World Series, and hopefully they're just trying to work out the dates to go racing. I think maybe in a month's time they can get going. And I mean, at the end of the year, New Zealand, where we can basically get to racing there. So my sidecar team and a couple of guys racing on solo bikes for me, Toby Summers and Avalon Biddle, awesome racers. They can get back to NZSPK and finish off the rounds which couldn't finish off the beginning of the year. So. Being on this side of the planet, you'll see a bit more from Carl Cox Motorsport, and also from myself. I'll hopefully be able to get back into my drag cars by the end of the year to carry on racing in this the race called the 400 Thunder, and these guys have it also televised as well on social platforms. One called Ovo Play, so you can see me racing on Ovo Play on the 400 Thunder series. So. That's where we are at the moment. We can get the boys. I mean, they've been ready to race. They've got everything they need. Brand new leathers, brand new helmets, gloves, brand new boots. They're just walking around the house. With all this. One day we're going to go back racing again. And it's all pristine. So. That's kind of where we are at the moment. So, little by little, I think we'll be able to get back to where we were in the sense of racing.
Great, wonderful. And a music track that might represent your experience with the TT, what would you say it would be? You can wrap it up.
Yeah. My God, that's a good question. I mean, obviously I like my house music and techno music. I would call it what you like. There's a track that I always loved to play many years ago, but it's by a band called Travaris, and it's called "Love Is Missing an Angel," and that's where I hope that everyone ends up in our lifetime eventually once we all said and done.
Beautiful, love it. Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys back out on the track next year, 2021. Bring it on.
Oh yeah, head down, arse up, come on, let's go. It's I think it's a long time coming. I think everyone's really waiting for the MotoGP to come back, and World Superbike's really waiting for that to come back, and we'll just get back to it again. And I have to say, I actually do sponsor also here in Australia V8 supercars, and I actually got to drive one of the V8 supercars through iRacing. And I got myself in a sim with the VR and everything, and I was going around Bathurst, and it was quite a thing to be doing, and because the sims, once you've got the motion of them all, of what you're going through, it's actually pretty cool, very very cool. I might just end up doing that a lot more iRacing in the future.
It's huge now, isn't it? A lot of they've been entertaining the TT fans with the virtual racing this week. What's your thought of that game? Have you got to grips with that at all? The Ride on the Edge game?
I'm a useless gamer. I'm just I crash and I get out and crash again, and I go, you know what? I'll leave that to the professionals. but it's awesome to see it happen. I mean, look, it's either this or nothing at the moment. So I'd rather have this than nothing. But I think the cars go better than the bikes for some reason, because of the way how the bikes look and how they act on iRacing. It's not exactly how you would foresee it with live. At least with the cars, the cars moving up and down and this kind of thing, you get a lot more motion with the cars. And with the bikes, it's when you see them up and they're flipping over like this, it's kind of like, it's just more like more like a ballet, when you see them going through a race. But it's going to be the way of our future in the end of the day. It's going to be the way how we all get connected and keep connected. It's going to be fun because the kids can get involved in it now in their way. So they're going in virtually, and then eventually they're going to want to do the real thing. And this is one really good way of introducing yourself into that. And even for me, I could become an old V8 iRacer supercar genius. So who knows? There's hope for me yet, in iRacing. Who knows? And I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Good. Before we have to say our goodbyes, Carl, I just want you to. What's so special about the TT? So what draws you back? What draws you back to bring the team there, for you to even be a spectator there? What is so special about it?
Brilliant. I love the island. I've always first and foremost, it's the island. It's the people and the island. And I'll tell you, the Queenies is the thing.
That's so good, aren't they?
Every year, the Queen, I'm like, you don't have them anywhere in the world.
I know.
The island. And you get to the island, the Queenies, that's it. I love it. I love the smell. When you go to the fish towns, and it's just that. And then the sparkle on the top of everything is the road racing. It's like my house is near Crosby, going towards Ballacrane, and now and again I can basically brush my teeth, look out the window, and I'm in my underpants, and the pants. Love it. Nothing in the world like that at all. So I have a very great love for the island, the people that live there, and the respect for the road racing that's been happening there since the 1900s.
Brilliant. Lovely. It's been special having you on, Carl. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your stories. Your passion is infectious and everybody's been loving it. So, we really appreciate your time. I know it's so late there in Melbourne. What is it, 2:00 in the morning now? Is it?
It's good, but also as well, I mean, I have done some really phenomenal parties on the island. I want to continue to do some more if I can. I think it's just something which is very special that I get to play there as well, and mix the two together: motorsport, road racing, and music. From what I can bring to it. I mean, yourself. You've been in a coffee shop with Connors. That was phenomenal. That was such a great thing to do. And it just brought it home to me. One of the reasons why I do it, because I just love it. So, we probably won't do his coffee shop again because I think it's a little bit too small. So we'll have to think of something a little bit bigger.
We'll find somewhere. We'll definitely find somewhere.
100%.
So everybody's saying thank you. Your enthusiasm is infectious. Big fans. Yeah. Brilliant. And gentlemen. Oh, thank you so much, Carl. Much love to you. And I look forward to seeing you back at the TT next year.
Please, try and stop me. I'm going to over. I'm going to get there in the end. I'm going to go past the steam packet. I'll be there. Thank you, Hailey.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Wow, what a great hour, hey? Just loving those stories and this passion for the TT and for the Isle of Man itself as well. So it's been quite a couple of weeks. That's been our coverage for the virtual TT 2020, our Tales from the TT Live, coming to you in the comfort of your own homes, powered by Podium Vodka, the spirit of motorsport. Thank you for riding with us.